Welcome to OpenClaw Quiz channel. Today we are breaking down generative AI in a simple and practical way, from what it is to how it became such a big part of daily life and business. We will also look at its history, major applications, and important concerns. And yes, quizzes will test your understanding along the way, so stay sharp. Generative AI is a branch of artificial intelligence that creates new content instead of only analyzing existing content. It learns patterns from large amounts of training data and then produces fresh outputs like text, images, audio, video, or software code. In many tools, the user gives a natural language prompt, and the model responds based on what it has learned. So at its core, generative AI is about learning patterns and generating something new from them. Generative AI became much more common during the AI boom of the 2020s. The big reason was improvement in deep neural networks, especially transformer-based models that handle language very effectively. These advances made large language models, or LLMs, powerful enough for real-world products. That is why tools like ChatGPT and image generators suddenly became visible to the general public. Today, generative AI appears in many forms. Chatbots like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, DeepSeek, and Grok focus mainly on text and conversation. Models like Midjourney, DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, and Flux generate images, while systems like Sora and Veo aim at text-to-video creation. This shows that the same broad idea can be applied across many different kinds of media. Generative AI is already being used in software development, healthcare, finance, entertainment, customer service, sales, marketing, art, writing, and product design. It can save time and support creativity, but it also brings serious risks. These include fake news, deepfakes, cybercrime, and models trained on copyrighted material without permission. There are also environmental concerns because large-scale data centers consume energy, water, and hardware resources. So this topic is exciting, but it is also complicated. Now that we've covered Gen AI basics, let's test what we've learned so far. Here's quiz number 1. See if you can get it right. Question 1. What makes generative AI different from systems that only classify or analyze data? The correct answer is, it creates new content. Generative AI learns patterns from data and produces fresh outputs such as text, images, audio, or code. Question 2. Which technical development most strongly boosted modern generative AI tools? The correct answer is transformer architecture. Transformers enabled major progress in language and generative modeling, especially for large language models. Question 3. Which of the following is listed as a major concern around generative AI? The correct answer is deepfakes and misinformation. The article highlights misuse such as fake news, deepfakes, and cybercrime as important risks. The roots of generative AI go back much earlier than modern chatbots. In 1906, Andrei Markov introduced the Markov chain, a mathematical idea used to model probability patterns in sequences such as language. When trained on text, a Markov chain can generate new text based on likely next steps. It was much simpler than modern AI, but it introduced the key idea of generating output from learned patterns. By the 1970s, artists were already using computers to create new works. Harold Cohen's Aaron is a famous example because it could autonomously produce paintings. In the 1980s and 1990s, the term generative AI was also linked to planning systems that created action sequences to achieve goals. These systems used symbolic AI methods like state space, search, and constraint satisfaction rather than today's deep learning models. Later, neural network-based systems began to generate more novel outputs on their own. One example was the Creativity Machine, developed by Stephen Thaler, which used perturbation and feedback to explore new ideas. Around the same time, scholars and legal experts started asking whether AI-generated inventions challenged normal ideas of creativity and inventorship. So the technology was growing, and the legal questions were growing with it. A major turning point came with deep learning in the late 2000s and early 2010s. At first, Discriminative models were easier to train, so they dominated tasks like image classification and speech recognition. Then in 2014, variational autoencoders and generative adversarial networks made deep generative modeling much more effective, especially for images. After that, the transformer architecture in 2017 and GPT models from 2018 pushed generative AI into the modern era. So that covers the main journey from early probabilistic systems to modern neural generation. Now that we've covered history and evolution, let's test what we've learned so far.
Here's quiz number 2. See if you can get it right.
Question 1. What early mathematical concept helped model natural language generation? The correct answer is Markov chain. Markov chains model sequence probabilities and were used as an early method for generating text. Question 2. Which program is known as a pioneering system for autonomous computer painting? The correct answer is Aaron. Aaron, developed by Harold Cohen, was an early computer program designed to create paintings autonomously. Question 3. Which pair of model types, introduced in 2014, improved deep generative modeling? The correct answer is GANs and VAEs. Variational autoencoders and generative adversarial networks were key 2014 advances in generative modeling. Public adoption accelerated in the early 2020s. In 2020, 15.ai showed that convincing character voices could be generated with minimal training data, making audio deepfakes more mainstream. In 2021 and 2022, DALLE, Midjourney Dream by Wombo and Stable Diffusion brought text-to-image generation into public view. Then ChatGPT's release in late 2022 made generative AI feel useful and accessible for everyday text tasks. Generative AI is now used across many industries. In healthcare, it supports drug discovery and synthetic medical data generation. In finance, it helps with report drafting, data generation, and customer service automation. In media and entertainment, it can assist with music, scripts, images, and video. At the same time, researchers and policymakers are questioning its accuracy and its effects on academic and professional work. Generative AI is not just about chatbots. Large language models work with tokenized text and can also generate software code. In audio, systems like WaveNet and Tacotron 2 improved realistic speech generation. There are also image models trained on text-image pairs, plus emerging uses in video, robotics, 3D modeling, and world models that learn about physical environments. Now we have covered the major output types and where they are applied. Now that we've covered adoption and uses, let's test what we've learned so far.
Here's quiz number 3. See if you can get it right.
Question 1. Which release helped popularize generative AI for general-purpose text tasks in late 2022? The correct answer is ChatGPT. The public release of ChatGPT in November 2022 made generative AI widely visible for everyday text use. Question 2. Which industry use mentioned in the article fits healthcare? The correct answer is drug discovery and synthetic medical data. The article specifically mentions healthcare uses such as drug discovery and synthetic medical data generation. Question 3. What is one important capability of large language models besides conversation? The correct answer is generating software code. LLMs can be trained on source code and used to generate programs from prompts. Generative AI runs on a wide range of software and hardware setups. Smaller models can run locally on smartphones, embedded devices, and personal computers, which helps with privacy and intellectual property protection. Larger models often need GPUs or specialized accelerators to run at useful speeds, while the biggest systems are usually hosted in data centers and accessed through the cloud. This hardware difference strongly affects cost, speed, privacy, and accessibility. As generative AI spread, new challenges also became clear. Detection tools such as GPT-0 try to identify AI-generated text and other media, though this remains an ongoing technical challenge. Governments have also imposed chip-related export controls that affect access to advanced AI hardware. And by 2025, many companies were struggling with integration, data quality, and weak returns, leading some analysts to say the field had entered a more sober phase. So this completes the picture. Generative AI is powerful, but it is not magic. So today you learned not just what generative AI does, but also how it evolved, where it is used, and why it raises serious technical and social questions. Hope you did well on the quizzes along the way. If you enjoyed this interactive explainer, do like, share and subscribe to Explain Quiz channel for more smart learning videos.